Alright, this is the solution manual for lesson quiz 9.3-6. I'm going to go through this fast, but again you can pause it to move on if you like. Find the graph of this, and it has a hole at which point? Well, you're going to factor the numerator. The difference of two squares. So the x plus 4's cancel, left with y equals x minus 4. Now since this denominator canceled, you have a hole at -4. That takes this one out and this one out. X is -4. Where is it at? Well, if you graph the line that remains, you have a y-intercept at -4, a slope of 1 over 1, and there's your line. At -4, you have a hole, so that would be about there, which makes the y value negative. So that would give you C for an answer. That's the simplest way to do it. What's the equation of this asymptote? It's a vertical line, so it's x equals 3. That'd be D. Which one of these has a hole and a vertical asymptote? Now, since it has both, that means that this has something in the denominator that was canceled, and this one is in the denominator and it stayed. And the one that works, so you're going to have to factor each one of these to check that, and D would give you the right answer. Because in factored form, one of the factors in the denominator of this one will cancel. We have x plus minus 7 and 5, x minus 7 and 2. So the 7's cancel, there's your hole, and here's your vertical asymptote. W varies directly as Z. They give you 9 for W and -6 for Z, which allows us to solve for K. So K is equal to -3/2. So now we say we have W equals -3/2 times Z. They ask us to find W. Whoops, I changed my color. Sorry about that. When Z is 3. W is equal to -9/2, which is -4.5. A. Varies jointly in the order they give it to us. P varies jointly as R and T. When P is 1, R is -5, and T is 2. The computer doesn't want to catch up to me. So K is equal to -1/10. So P equals -1/10 RT. So find T when P is 6, R is 12, and solve for T. So 6 equals -12/10, which reduces to -6/5. And dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So T is equal to a -5. Graph this function. Well, we have a denominator that will be undefined at -1. So here's our vertical asymptote. We make an XY chart with points from both sides. So if I go -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, at -3, I've worked these out already, so it's just plugging a -3 in. That would give you -3 halves. Plug a -2 in, you get -3. Undefined at -1, you get a 3. If you plug in a 0, you get 3 halves. If you plug in a 1, you get a 1 if you plug in a 2. So at -3, you are at -1.5. -2, you're at -3. Undefined. At 0, you're at 3. At 1, you're at 1.5. Whoops, I did it again. Second time I've done this quiz. I'm making the same mistake twice. At 0, you're at 3. And, oh, I see what I did. I got it. I already have my asymptote on there. Like I said, I did this once already and I forgot to erase my previous line on there. Alright, I've already drawn my vertical asymptote on there. And there it is, it's dotted. Okay. Sorry. Alright, so -3, 1, 2, 3 is -3.5. -2, 1, 2 is at -3. Undefined. At 0, it's 3. At 1, it is 3.5. At 2, it's 1. Okay, so we have this graph like that. Oops. All right, sorry about that. Okay, next one. What type of graph is this? This is rational function. This one's a linear function. Next one, we have to find the common denominator, which in this case is g minus 2. This is over 1. I just try and go too fast here because I got to get within 10 minutes, and that's what I make mistakes. So the first one, nothing cancels, so you have g times g minus 2 plus g, because everything cancels, equals 2, because everything cancels. So g squared minus 2g plus g equals 2. So g squared minus g minus 2 equals 0 if I subtract 2 from both sides. Now I want to subtract 2 from both sides because I have a quadratic. To solve quadratics, we said equals 0 and factor, if possible. Alright, so we have solutions at -1 and 2. At 2. You check these, well 2 will cause it to be undefined. You can't take that one. So 9's answer is -1. The next one for the inequality, we have y as the common denominator. So we have 8y plus 3 is greater than 19 because the y's cancel. And solve this for y. It's not quadratic, so I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides and get 16. Divide by 8, I get 2. So critical point is at 2, and there's a variable in the denominator, so at 0 also. We have 3 sections. Plug in a point from each side, so I would recommend -1, 1, and 3. 1 will check. -1 will check, excuse me. 1 does not, and 3 will check if you plugged in those values into this equation, which means you'll have circles at 2, arrow going to the right, and at 0, arrow going to the left. This is it, and hopefully this will help you prepare for the test on Monday.